So let's take a look at how we would approach the hypothesis testing problem using our PhStat add-in. Okay, so again, under add-ins, and we don't have to have anything in the Excel sheet for this at least. If sigma is unknown, then we need to have some data. Okay, so we just go to one sample tests, z-test for the mean, sigma is known. We just click on that. So we just input the null hypothesis. This is basically mean is equal to, in our example, this was 30. We need to input the level of significance. Make sure you use the dot. In our example, we used 0.005, and that should be that could be changed. So we could use 0.001 as well. So our standard deviation was equal to 0.8. Okay, so again, that was the sigma. So again, notice I use dot. So there could be two cases, sample statistics known and unknown. If unknown, we should highlight the region in Excel where our data is stored in, with or without header. But in this case, the values are known. Sample size is 100. And in the sample, I have a mean of 29. Point, again, dot 84. And we did the two-tail test, but we could use the same option for running upper tail and lower tail tests as well. So let's do the two-tail test and go over the results. So just clicking OK here. And we have here some output, some results for this. So null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is mu is equal to 30. Alternative, mu is not equal to 30. The level of significance we already entered, sigma, sample mean. So standard error of the mean. So basically it is 0.8 divided by square root of 100. You see the formula right here. Z-test statistic, the difference between the sample mean and the hypothetical mean here divided by standard error, it's -2. The critical values, as I told you during class, you can check the table or just use the inverse function, norm.s.inf. For Turkish, just replace inf by ters, and it's going to work just as fine. And you have to divide alpha by 2 here. Okay, so those two functions give you the critical values. Now you don't have to do the comparison or anything. Okay, now well, you could do the comparison yourself. -2 is less than -1.96, so this is reject. Okay, so again, in the reject there is a simple if function, but that's basically using the p-value here. If p-value is less than the level of significance, so and if here the p-value is calculated by using the norm.s.dist, and for Turkish you can use da for dağılım. Okay, and taking the absolute value of the z-stat. Okay, and true is for cumulative. You remember this from the distribution function of the normal distribution. Okay, and 1 minus this value multiplied by 2. Okay, so if you're taking the absolute value, this number is going to turn out to be a large number, like 0.9772. Take 1 minus that, and again multiply by 2 because this is two-tail. So this will lay out all the necessary steps of a two-tail hypothesis test. Now, for the same problem, we could also use. Now let's enter the same data and population standard deviation. So this time let's do let's choose a lower tail test. Okay, let's see if we get reject and what's the p-value and if it's any different. So this time now the null hypothesis will be mu is greater than 30. The alternative is mu is less than 30. So let's say okay. So not surprisingly, the hypothesis, the lower tail, is also rejected because the value we found actually was negative critical value, negative z-stat. Okay, so the z-stat doesn't change. Anything up to here, including the standard error, including the z-stat, does not change. What changes is the critical value, because now instead of b5/2, doesn't divide the alpha by 2. So the critical value is different, and it's actually just negative critical value. So since -2 is less than, okay, -1.64, then we get a reject. And in the p-value, we don't need to multiply anything by 2. So we just need to find the area to the left. Just to finish it off, that's lower tail. That's now let's just do the upper tail to finish this off. Okay, let's enter again 30, 0.05, and 0.8. And sample mean was 29.84. Sorry, sample mean was 29.84. Sample size was 100. Okay, now this time I'll do an upper tail test, and I'm sure that I will get a not reject conclusion. So let's, that's a do not reject conclusion. The p-value is much, much higher, because in the upper tail, the extreme is defined by being greater than what you already found. So you have to consider the area to the right of -2. So in this case, this area is huge, and it cannot be less than the specified level of significance. What is the critical value? The critical value is actually plus 1.64, not minus 1.64. The p-value, again, is found by 1 minus norm.s.dist, and input in there, B12. Take the right side, that's why it's doing 1 minus, not taking the left side, and there's no need to multiply by 2, and the decision is do not reject the null hypothesis, because when the right tail test is concerned, the alternative is mu is greater than 30, and the rejection area is on the right tail, the area that is greater than 1.64. Okay, so that's that for using PhStat with the z-test.